Welcome to Foam to Fortune, the ultimate podcast for spray foam insulation industry. Whether you're a contractor aiming to take your business to the next level or a vendor bringing innovation to the market, this is the place where success stories are shared, insider tips are uncovered, and the industry secrets are revealed. Join us as we dive into the journeys of the spray foam pros who turn their dreams into thriving empires and discover tools and strategies to build your own path to fortune. Ready to elevate your spray foam game? Well, let's get started. Foam to Fortune, where innovation meets inspiration. What's up, everybody? I'm Spencer, the host of the Foam to Fortune podcast, and today we have a special guest, Christopher Kuhn from Insulation Contractors of Arizona. He's been at this for, a bajillion years, it seems. 21 years of working in the spray foam business. What's up, Christopher?
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. Tell us, tell the viewers and the listeners who you are. Like how'd you get a start? Who's Christopher? Tell us a little bit about your personal life, what you enjoy, and you know, who you are.
Yeah, I'm Christopher Kuhn. I'm based in Glendale, Arizona, and then I opened up a second shop in Whitman, Arizona now. So, been in business 4 years, and I've been in this industry for, as Spence said, 21 years. So, got into it as just a random youngster, man. I was in high school. Met my wife, we have some kids, and was just trying to get through. I actually didn't graduate high school because I had to be the man. I had to take care of my family. So my wife finished school and took care of the kids at the house while I was out working. And then I didn't know what foam was. I got into it randomly, but here we are.
Yeah, man. So tell me, you said that your first job you got was driving like a truck for an insulation company.
Yeah. I was working at a cabinet shop at the time. One of my trucks broke down, and so I, to get to work, was taking the city bus, and I took it that whole week, and I saw the same guy on the bus all week long. And he came up to me and said, "Man, you look like a hard worker, dude. Are you happy where you're at?" I said, "I'm okay. Well, I know a company that's hiring. They pay pretty well, and they're looking for just driving. If you have a good driving record, um, and such. I know you're on the bus. I don't know your situation." I say, "Yeah, my car's just broke down. I got a good driving record though." So I went in. I didn't know. I just intuition, man. I guess I just went in the place and walked in and said, "Hey, I'm in here looking for a job. I heard you guys are hiring for drivers." And they said, "No, we don't actually have any driver positions open right now, but we have spray foam position. Labor. Are you interested?" This is 2004. I was probably making like $8 an hour.
Yeah.
Driving cabinets, maybe 30 hours a week if I was lucky. Fighting for any money I could. So I said, "Yeah, how much you pay?" At that time he said $15 an hour, and I was like, "You got me."
Hell
So yeah, I said, "When can I start?" And he took a chance on me. I've always been very upfront, honest, real. I feel like some people may not like who you are or what you have to offer, but at least just be real with them, so there's no surprises later on. I've had a lot of burn relationships through my life, mostly like as a child. Bunch of just terrific shit happened. So I kind of, it's how I've defended myself my whole life, is just killing with honesty. And if they can't take that honesty, I'll read that right away, and then I know to stay away at that point. So I just went in there and, told him, "Hey man, I'm broke. My car's broke down. I'll take this job, but I need a little help. I'll show up every day, I promise." And so, he gave me a little loan, helped me get my car fixed, started showing up. My very first day working, we went out of town, which was about 4 hours away, but it was a full house and drive back. So it was like a 19-hour shift. With that money per hour, I was hooked. I was like, "Yeah, this is it. I don't care how hard." And then as we talked, as a kid, I still, but really struggle with ADHD and look for ways to outsource that. As most males, we don't get diagnosed till we're older, because we're so active when we're kids, they don't see it. And so same situation with me. And so I promised him I'll work really, really hard, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's That's a great like entry because I feel like a lot of guys, it's a little bit more direct. You were kind of like you kind of found your way just by zigging and zagging, and next
Yeah.
thing you know, you're in the insulation business. Tell us about how you remember your first job that you actually sprayed, and tell us about like what was there anything particularly that you learned from that first day on the job?
Yeah, I mean that one. Yeah, I mean I sprayed a little bit as at that first company. I stayed for about a year and a half. But me striving and wanting, I was always playing sports. I was, all-star team, all this stuff. So I always, was widely accepted, and I was used to people, hey, yeah, yeah. And so when I came here, obviously jobs were scarce, and the sprayers didn't want to give up the gun. And so, I'd always say, hey, let me try. And they would let me spray like the harder spots or the spots they didn't want to do, crawl up into the, into the crawl space or up over the overbuild area. So I do slightly remember like spraying here and there that way, but I really remember like my first day spraying is when I left that company. I ended up leaving and calling another company, realizing at that point, like I said, I've always wanted to be an overachiever. So I wanted to be more than just the laborer or just the helper. I wanted to be the sprayer. And so I called another company and I bullshitted them. I said, hey, dude, I'm a sprayer for 2 years. I've, been working at this for almost 2 years. I'm sprayer. I'll do every job. I know the whole job, whole 9 yards. And so they hired me. And, I expected to be helper slash sprayer. I'll be on a rig. And my very first day, they put me in my own rig, sent me out. And I
What?
was like, oh, shit, I hope I can turn this rig on the right way. And, I
Wow.
just took a breath for a second and but yeah, that would be like my first spraying was like just at a brand new company after working in this for a year and a half, but finagling my
That's
way into the spray position.
Is that kind of typically how you find yourself in a lot of positions through life? It's almost like you get thrown to the wolves, and then growing up, I know a little bit about you. It sounds like you grew up in a a household that was full of lots of challenges, we'll say.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a household exactly like that myself. And so I've always been kind of the guy that's like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, but I'll figure it out. Is that who Chris is as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like I thrive the best off of that kind of stuff, though. It's just my nature now because maybe the environment I grew up in, but
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, yeah. I mean, I like it that way. It's exciting. Let me
Yeah,
see what I can make out of this. Sometimes it's got its downfalls, but yeah, that would probably explain it in a nutshell for sure.
I just think like not only do you get sent out on the rig by yourself, nobody there to show you about the equipment. I'm sure it wasn't the same equipment that you're used to because there's no spray foam rig that's really identical out there on the marketplace.
Right.
So you have all this tinkering and I don't know the technical terms, but like the tuning of trying to get your A and your B and your ratios together. And now you're on a job site by yourself having to figure this out. This was probably the YouTube on this probably wasn't great back then. So it's not like you're YouTube and like how to get this thing going. So
Yeah.
do you remember how you figured it out?
Uh Yeah, honestly, that one of the supervisors there, he passed away now. His name was Lance Eckstein, though, but he was about my age, probably been in it just about as long as me, and I called him and I said, "Hey, you know what, dude? I kind of lied. I was like, look, I can do all of this, but I'm not, and the machine I was comfortable with starting because I started the machines for my sprayers and pressurized them, things like that. So it wasn't like really rookie, but the rig, like you said, was different to me. So I just called him and I said, hey, look, I'm at the job site. I got everything ready to go, but I've never seen a generator like this. Like,
Yeah.
can you just tell me how to get it turned on once I do that? It was a whole new, I was 19 and a half. I mean, it was a whole new learning experience at that company. Anyways, every single one of their trucks were box trucks. They were all manuals. Uh, I I knew how to drive manual, however, box truck manuals is not like a little, two-seater Honda or something, so
True.
they want you to take off in second gear versus first gear so you don't have so much jump on the truck and shaking things up and things. So there was a little bit of learning curve like that. But yeah, I started relying on Lance a lot. I called him that first day and said, hey, I'm out here. I got everything ready. Dude, honestly, I I tried, I've stared at this thing, but I don't know where the button is for the generator. Everything else I feel super confident on. And he told me, like, call me for anything, man. And so I did. I called him anytime I had any issues. But and once I got the generator started, the job went, as I expected. So
That's awesome. I hear this story a lot, Chris, with um everybody that we've had on the podcast, as well as a lot of people I talk to throughout the week, spray foam contractors that just really talk about how helpful people are within this industry. I mean, I had a guest on that was talking about, if I have a problem, I just post on Spray Foam Worldwide, and within minutes, I have tons of people that are commenting. Have you had that same experience? I mean, I know you've been in the game a little bit longer. I imagine, and I've seen you. You're kind of the guy that's helping those people. Do you feel like that's the majority of the spray foam contractors are helpful, like Lance and yourself?
yeah, I think it's I see that a lot. I think it's a game changer for real. The technology, the social media alone is a game changer in this. I mean, I do remember, like, still to this day, like it was yesterday, back in 2005, 2006, having an issue and calling somebody, and they needed to call somebody, and they needed to call somebody. So you might get a call back later on that day, or maybe that week, to
Yeah.
troubleshoot some stuff. And so nowadays, I mean, I'm a big advocate of like Spray Foam Worldwide. If I have an issue, I try to post it on there right away, because I know I'm going to get answers right away. And then for myself, I've never I'm not a hater. I've never met a hater that's doing better than you. You've heard that one before, I'm sure. And
Yep.
so yeah, I don't I try to just help people. There's certain situations, or somebody, the tow truck guy that, robbed me when my truck broke down.
Yeah.
Even to this day, I don't have any hate to the guy. I mean, it's just like, it's unfortunate, but I let it go. I bygones be bygones, and move on. So, but no, I'm a super big advocate of trying to help, and I do notice that a ton. There's some trolls on social media that just do that for fun and things like that. But it's the help, and just the quality and the speed of answers that you can
Yeah.
get these days is like, it blows my mind. The training out there, it's taken a little bit more serious these days. A lot more, I guess, a lot more manufacturers out there too. So there's a lot more, to offer to more people. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a growing industry.
I've noticed this trend, guys like yourself that have been in the business a long time, now that they're not maybe on a job site or actually spraying every day, now that they're kind of more working on their business than in their business, they're the ones that are commenting. These are like the OGs of the spray foam world that are like Johnny on the spot, helping the new guy because he's having some difficulty. And to me, I just love to see that camaraderie and how people, act, because there is assholes, like you said. There's a lot of people that are out there that just get their kicks off of ruining somebody's fucking day. And majority of guys, I think, within this trade, get their kicks off helping somebody, like, hey, I just helped,
Yeah.
so and so with whatever issue they're going for. So yeah, man, I've seen that time and time again. I'm curious, do you have, like, what would you say your biggest accomplishment has been, in all these years with working in this trade?
Uh Man, honestly, myself.
This episode is sponsored by Spray Foam Genius Marketing. Are you a spray foam contractor looking to get more leads and boost your presence on Google? We've got you covered. At Spray Foam Genius Marketing, we help business owners like you take their company to the next level with targeted leads, high converting websites, SEO optimization, Google My Business Management. If you're in the US, call us at 877-840-FOAM. Or if you're in Canada, call 844741-FOAM. Or you can just email us at info@sprayfoamgeniusmarketing.com. Spray Foam Genius Marketing, turning clicks into customers.
Myself, my accomplishments, I'm super proud of myself, and I didn't really, up till recently, I probably was a little proud of myself, but didn't really, really think about it. But earlier we were speaking a little bit
Mhm.
and talking, about, like, situations that you get put in this and everything. And so one of my biggest accomplishments for me in this industry is just becoming and flowering who I am, like who we are, Insulation Contractors of Arizona. It's not just me. I have a team behind me, and I really try to um, help instill and push them towards kind of the same like-minded ideas that I have, or morals.
Hmm.
And I'm a little bit selective on hiring because I'm still very active in the field. So I know, like a few minutes ago, you had mentioned, like, the guys that are working on the business or in the office. And a lot of those guys that I see might be um, either way, it doesn't matter to me, but I'm in the field usually when I'm the one answering those questions. My guys might get a little mad at me because my phone chimes ting, and then I'm pulling it out instead of, spraying the wall. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm the boss. I need to check the phone, and they're like, "Dude, you're on Facebook." I'm like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
needed to help somebody." So, but yeah, no, yeah, a lot of times, I'm just out there. Oh man, I know this situation, and if I was in that situation, I would hope someone would reach out and give me that answer that fast too, and get me out of there so that I can move on or get through it to the next one. There's been times in my career where we had bad days or downfalls, and stretch the day out. I mean, we had gone to work probably planning on a 6 to 8 hour a day, and then we're out there 14 hours later and miserable and don't want to be in the industry anymore. So, people jumping on like social media, podcast, Facebook, Spray Foam Worldwide, and helping out. I mean, it goes way further than they even know. Myself too. Most of the time I'm active on there. I'm one of the original members, probably within the first 30 members of Spray Foam Worldwide.
Wow.
So I've been in there since, I think 2016 was when it started. So I've been in there since 2016.
Now I
Um,
think that group's up over like 14,000 or something like that.
18, I think, or something like that. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 18,000 active, but the parties have definitely gotten bigger. The giveaways are crazy, but yeah, no, it it's been really good for our industry. It's like it's helped out a ton, but it does suck when you get the trolls. But you can hit block.
True that. True that, bro. True that. So I did hear you mention about self-improvement. Let's touch on that, man, because I know that's not really a common thing from where you and I both come from, and as well as a lot of blue collar people. They don't like self-improvement's typically not a thing. So like tell the viewers and the listeners like how you're improving yourself.
Oh yeah, I've been in this a long time, dude. As an installer and stuff, you go through trials and tribulations out on the job site. You have good days and bad days, and you think that mentally grows you and stretches you a little bit. Um, and then you decide you want to start a business, and it really starts to emotionally stretch and grow you differently. And so yeah, for me, mental awareness was not something that was probably on the top of my head ever. Even as a kid, I had friends obviously that maybe committed suicide or lost their lives, and probably because of some of my childhood situations that I've been into, I was maybe a little bit jaded towards those kind of situations, and so I didn't really think to check on my brother, ask him how he's doing, things like that. And as a business owner, that's been a new thing for me. Not something I really ever struggled with. Going to bed crying or things like that. Just the amount of stress. And so I questioned a lot of like my own mental health for a while there. And so I started talking to my wife about it and saying, hey, this stuff, and all of that's normal. All of that is normal, she said. That is all like growing pains, things that you never experienced before because you were always I always was uh complacent. Like,
Yep.
I get to where I wanted to get, and then I'd just be fine there instead of wanting to want more. My
Mhm.
wife's like my number one fan, my number one supporter. And she's also like the number one reason why I'm here where I am today.
Yeah.
She's pushed me. Yeah, she just keeps pushing me. And, when I'm like, I can't, she's the one saying, you can, you can. and she's really, my accomplishment is I've built this company for my employees, to to provide them, everybody needs a paycheck to survive, man. So I'm trying to. They're here for their check, and I know that. They know that, but I'm trying to. A lot of these guys come from the same situation I did,
Hmm.
and so I'm trying to teach them that you're not stuck, and that this isn't just a paycheck. Like, this is our company that we're building together, and I don't know what the future holds. Maybe profit shares. Maybe
Yeah.
you start your own and I help you. I don't know. But point
Hmm.
being is, hey, you're not limited just to a paycheck. As I grew up, even when I started at the cabinet shop, thinking, oh man, I'm just gonna skate through life like my dad, skate through life like I watched my family do it. I just had no idea that there's so much more. And so um, doing this business and dealing with the daily trials and tribulations that I do and being able to get through them, and be here talking to you and smiling is it's a big accomplishment. I'm super proud of myself and
Yeah,
where
man.
we're going. So,
It's great that you have really tapped into the mental health piece of this because I've been an entrepreneur now for 20 years, owned a business, and it is most definitely challenging
yeah,
because there as a business owner, you never turn it off. You know,
right,
if you're an employee, you're going, maybe you work from 9 to 5 or 9 to 8 or whatever it is, and then you go home at 8 o'clock and crack open a beer or whatever the case is. However you de-stress, and you don't forget about it till the next day. And as a business owner, you don't ever turn it off.
yeah,
You're always dealing with business. And I think as entrepreneurs, we need to find a release. How do we decompress? How do we, as you've seen, I spend Friday afternoons in the forest
yep,
in a hammock. I see you out at the softball field, like giving back to the kiddos. And I think in general, we as men, first off, and we as entrepreneurs need to figure out what that is to get ourselves in like that recharge state, because it is extremely stressful. As
yeah,
well as my wife is my biggest cheerleader, just like your wife. And I feel like every successful man needs a powerful woman behind them, because there's plenty of times, and your wife sounds similar to my wife, where I'm in a situation with my business and I'm just stressed out to the to the max. And to have somebody that's in your back, and as a cheerleader has your back, that's saying, hey, I'm not sure how you're going to figure this out, but if anybody can figure this out, I know it will be you. My wife has told me that I don't know how many freaking times, because she has so much trust and faith in me that I'm going to figure this out. So I can relate with you on having that
yeah,
very supportive
yeah.
wife.
I need that for sure.
Yeah, man, it helps on those days
It
where it's like,
does. Oh yeah,
yeah, man, why am I doing this? I could go and work for somebody else, make more money, and have less stress. But it sounds to me like um, one of your goals in life, and why you're on this planet, is to make an impact. Is that correct?
right. That's exactly what I want to do. I just want to leave an impact for the people that are going to be here after me, my kids,
Yeah.
obviously my intermediate family, but outside of that, I mean, I've learned, uh, as a youngster, I didn't have much the environment I grew up in. I didn't have a lot of like military influence or anything like that, but obviously I learned that I really was like seeking brotherhood. And so with kids and not having anybody really pushing me or motivating me towards the military or anything in that extent, I didn't choose that route. As I got older, I started to kind of want that route, but I was like, you know what? Here's spray foam. I've been in this. Here's spray foam worldwide. Here's all these guys that just want, all dealing with the same stuff. They can relate to me.
Yeah,
And so yeah, so I mean that's helped a lot too. Being able to talk people like yourself about situations that we deal with. It helps a lot.
for sure.
Definitely. Definitely my wife's the backbone though.
Of course, man, of course, and hopefully you get some kudos for shouting her out. But yeah, I also have noticed, not that this doesn't happen with any other trade or any other business, but there's a lot of mental health there. In the short period of time that I've been involved in this business, I've seen multiple guys take their lives, and for you to be a person that is, saying, "Hey, I'm going to make sure that my mental health is correct, and I'm in a right spot so that I can help these other guys get past some of these challenges," dude. I applaud you because um, sometimes dealing with their own mental health shit is enough, let alone listening to somebody else with their own
Yeah.
struggles is difficult. And I have conversations with guys in this business that are going through some shit, and they've seen my own personal reels and things like that I'm pushing out, talking about my struggles, and they're like, "How did you get to a spot where your mental health is better and how you're accomplishing things?" And there's not a right or wrong answer. I feel like it's everybody's journey, but if I can share just a little bit to possibly save somebody's life, or I can share something to improve somebody's life, I've won at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, um, has there been a piece of equipment that has just been an absolute game changer for you guys and your guys' crew?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the new equipment out there, all the newer machines, they're really cool. We're still like Stone Age. We're still using a little bit older machines. We're not using like the R3s yet or anything, but they're super cool, like that technology. But for us in general, as a young sprayer, and especially not the industry hasn't developed to where it has now at that time. And me being stubborn, 20-year-old, mid 20s and all that other shit. I didn't wear my mask a lot. Spraying, I always wear my mask, of course, but it's common. I'm done spraying the wall, I take the mask off, I'm walking around, eating a sub, talking to the guys, things like that. Well, I got 21 years in it now. I'm not ISO sensitive. I can still spray daily, and I do. But I definitely have taken into consideration the hazards and risk of fine space exposure and things like that. And so fresh air mask. I preach to my guys daily. I've bought in Tennessee Chill Box, Allegro air machines, Bowler air machines, whichever one they want. I'm like, yes, no questions asked. If you're gonna wear it, I will buy it. I
Yeah.
promise you, it's game changer. So, and then a couple years back in Vegas, I had won a portable fresh air mask. For me, that's where it like really clicked, like how important fresh air was. These guys already had the systems, but I wasn't pushing the system on them.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, wear a cartridge mask, it's fine. But once I got the fresh air mask in Vegas that I won, and sprayed my first Connex box, like probably the first day back from Vegas,
Yeah, I remember that.
it was game changer, man. It
I was
was
I was like, "Is Chris going to the fucking moon, or
yeah,
is he
yeah.
actually spraying spray foam?" I mean, the mask is so,
They're
like,
cool, dude.
it's looking like you're an astronaut.
So, and the crazy part is I probably looked at those exact masks a million times, because most of the techs, like most of the techs that travel around, UPC techs, the Huntsman techs,
Mhm.
Ambit techs, they use these masks. These are a common mask for them to use. A lot of times they modify them a little bit. They might take off like the back guard and things like that, but they still have the whole full face. And
Yeah.
so I didn't really ever click that, hey, those might be really good masks. And then I won one, tried it out, and was like, oh man, this is game changer. So um it it's been good. I honestly, all of those any of the fresh air systems, we're in Arizona. It's not only like fumes, heat's a huge issue for us. I in 2010, I actually dropped out of a ceiling through the drywall
Oh
from actual full on heat exhaustion, and
oh my god.
then it ended up in a heat stroke, and was rushed to the hospital. The paramedics put a 18 gauge needle right in my arm right there at the place, and was pumping me full of bags, I didn't fall out. You know, I was still alive the whole time and conscious. But yeah, that was pretty traumatic for me. Kind of an eye opener. I didn't feel overheated. I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong at that day or in that situation. I did have a mask on, a cartridge mask, and everything else, but definitely realized that the heat is it's not only those air masks aren't only just for fumes or and things like that. You know, they also provide, Tennessee Chill Box is the one of the ones that kind of maybe focus more on like cold air,
Yeah.
providing cold air to you versus just fresh air.
Mm.
That I know, that I'm familiar with. But yeah, for us it's that important here too. I mean, Arizona, the addicts are getting 160 even without spraying foam, like without actively spraying in the attic. It's
Yeah.
160 in the summer. So, if we're up in a retrofit,
Oh my
I
God.
I wouldn't doubt that attic, that confined space sometimes hits up to 200 degrees easy. So
That is crazy, dude. Like
yeah,
out of every state out there. I mean, obviously Florida gets hot, Texas gets hot, but Arizona, with me living up here in the Northwest, there's consistently weeks where you guys are like 114, 116 temp,
yeah,
just degrees. I'm like, how does anybody live down there? And I know you guys live in a lot of air conditioning, year round, but to be in a in a trade where you have to climb up in the attic space, which is the hottest part of a house, and work. And I mean, it's either you work or you don't get paid. And
right.
I'm sure you're like, we're getting paid today. We're not,
Yeah.
we're not spraying today. So that's
I,
crazy how much that can make a difference.
Yeah, and I try to, like, especially in those hot temperatures, I try to play, use precautions. If we're on a heat advisory day, we're gonna start a little earlier and just pull the guys a little earlier. We're gonna schedule an extra day on a job that we didn't need 2 days normally, but just to play it safe. I don't want to lose anybody,
Mhm.
and there none of these paychecks out here, not even my own, is big enough to jeopardize any of that. Honestly, so
Yeah.
I was a production sprayer when I was a sprayer, so I was doing lots of track homes in Arizona. They throw them up with paper, so
Yeah.
they go up fast, man. I mean, I was at least a house a day. There was some points where we were spraying like smaller house. I do 4 or 5 a day. At one point when I was at a production company here, I was probably the highest paid um, production sprayer they had, and that was just all piece rate. It was just my own work ethic making me that money, but probably made more money than I make now as a business owner, I'll tell you
It, isn't
that.
that a shame, right? But hey,
Yeah,
man, you own
not
your
the
own
same.
business.
Yeah,
You get to create your own schedule. You get to be a father to your children, which
yeah,
is, you can't put a dollar amount on that.
no, not
I
at
know I
all.
grew up with not really a father in my life, and parents that really weren't great parents. I mean, they did the best that they could, but for me as an entrepreneur, I think having the ability, like for example, tonight I'm going to my daughter's concert. She plays in the orchestra, and my kids play sports as well. And it kills me when I can't get to these type of things. If there's just like some conflict, or if I'm traveling for business or whatever the case is, and I miss out, where I can count on probably one hand how many times my parents saw me play sports,
Right.
or do that. So it's extremely important to me, to have that freedom and that flexibility of not have to say, "Hey, boss, can I have the day off or the night off so I can go see
Th-
my kids?"
Yeah, that's probably one of that might be one of my biggest perks, actually, especially having four. I have 6 kids total. Two of my boys are one works for me,
Mhm.
but they're both adults now, and living in their own homes and doing their own things. But I have four teenage daughters, so all active in softball.
Damn, dude.
All super active in softball. If it's not high school ball, it's club ball or rec ball. So there's not
Yeah.
just one league either. So it's a lot of juggling. But my wife's a registered nurse, and so she works in the hospital, and she works long days, very very long days, back to back days most of the time. There's usually we don't see her for 3 or 4 days basically. out of each week. And so
This episode is sponsored by Spray Foam Genius Marketing. Are you a spray foam contractor looking to get more leads and boost your presence on Google? We've got you covered. At Spray Foam Genius Marketing, we help business owners like you take their company to the next level with targeted leads, high converting websites, SEO optimization, Google My Business Management. If you're in the US, call us at 877-840-FOAM. Or if you're in Canada, call 844741-FOAM. Or you can just email us at info@sprayfoamgeniusmarketing.com. Spray Foam Genius Marketing, turning clicks into customers.
doing this has been like such a great privilege to me and my family, allowing me to, step in and be there. It, it it was a little bit tougher at the very beginning because I had less employees. Obviously, I was installing a lot, but
Mhm.
definitely now we've accommodated growing. And so now I'm able to say, hey, guys, I'm not going to show up on this job site and check on you. Just please make sure we get it done right. And then I worry free go to my, kids game and just have the time of my life. So I love it for that reason. For sure, that might be my biggest perk in this business. So
Of course, I totally
family
agree,
time, man.
family time, and then eventually being able to sit on a beach with your wife and maybe some of the kids and enjoy your life while the business still runs on its own without any concern, because you've built
Right.
it well and you have guys in place that you can trust, that are gonna do a great job. And I know it sounds cliche, but basically just sit back and watch the money come into the bank account.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
and
the goal.
that, and then also like especially like my daughters, my sons too. But I don't push this on any of them. My kids, my boys, one of them works with me. I know he hates it. He wants to be a car salesman, man. That's like his dream. He loves cars. He's
Yeah.
19 years, and 20 years old now. So that's just like what he wants to do right now. I don't know if that will shift, and it might. Everybody's life shifts. So but that's the kind of the direction. But he shows up every day, he sticks it out, and he does this thing. But I tell all of them, even my youngest is 11, and constantly I'm telling her like, hey, look, dad did this for you, whether you want this business or not, whether I sell it before you're able to take over it, whether we run it till for generations. Who
Yeah.
knows what's really going to come about it? But the one thing I do like point out to them constantly is they can do this. They can, do something similar to this. They can do whatever they want as long as they really push. And all my wife and I are like, we're open book at my house, open door policy,
Yep.
none of that. So my kids know everything about me. They all know I didn't graduate high school, things like that. And so it's really important for me to show them the accomplishments and achievements that you can achieve,
Yep.
no matter the circumstances, as long as you're willing to put the work and effort into it. So I don't know if you can see it behind me, that I got badass spray foamer of 2024.
Nice, man. I see this right
Yeah,
on my
last
sticker. It's the award winning
yeah
helmet.
last year yeah last year at the they do the carnival for spray
Yeah.
foam worldwide, and I was awarded that. I wasn't at that one because I was busy being a dad, but
Oh man, you weren't there
my
to
kids.
accept it in
Yeah, my
person,
kids,
huh?
we went to the one before that, but my kids had tournaments on this trip, and so I just, we one of my daughters is really competitive in softball. We're really hoping she's pushing towards college, and so we've
Nice.
been taking it very seriously. So
Yeah, I remember I was in Gatlinburg, Tennessee at a mastermind leveling up my own business at the same time, and I was kind of bummed because I was like, man, what do I do? Do I go to Tennessee or do I go to Minnesota for the Mall of America event? So
have you been to one before?
I haven't been to that one. I mean,
Oh
obviously,
man.
obviously, was at Vegas SPFA show last year.
Uh-uh.
Wasn't able to
Yeah, we
be.
couldn't miss you. We couldn't
Yeah,
miss you there. That's
exactly,
for
right, the Einstein Bubble.
sure.
And
The
then we had
Einsteins.
representation in Daytona with, some of my team members there,
Hmm.
because I had to be at the end of, the month, in Florida for another mastermind. So I was like, I just, family time for me to be gone from my family 2 weeks out of a month is just absolutely kills me and my whole family. They're just like,
Yeah.
just puts extra stress on everybody. So I have to pick and choose, those
Yep.
things. If I'm going to be away from my family, it's got to be really, really worth it. So, But I think we're back in Vegas next year for SPFA. Most definitely a
Yeah.
lot closer to me since I'm out on the West Coast, and really close for you. So
Yeah. Yeah,
most definitely
I
be
think
there.
I saw the guys talking about riding Harleys this time. So I own a Harley. So I was talking to, it's a 4-hour drive for me. So this year
Get
I'll
right
be
up.
taking my, yeah, I'll ride up.
Okay, that's cool, man.
So
That's really
yeah.
cool. Tell me, Chris, about this bad spray foam job that I saw you were kind of posting out that you
Oh
guys
yeah.
are doing right now. I think you guys are currently on it this week, right?
Yeah, we pretty much full blown started this week doing the removal. So I took on a job for some clients here in Arizona. They bought a brand new track home. It was insulated with fiberglass, and because that they worked for the company that they bought their home from, so they were very familiar with that company using spray foam in most neighborhoods,
Mhm.
but didn't use it in theirs. And so they acquired, I guess, to get a retrofit spray foam job done. But the installing company declined. Just said they used. Breach of contract.
Mm.
They used, concerns so they didn't want to be the installing company. And so these people, I guess, picked the next guys, next the cheapest guys, but the next guys that they knew to research or whatever. So these guys sprayed these people's home, and they were already living in it. Obviously they had just moved in, so they probably got it sprayed about a month after moving in. It's probably, in Arizona it's common for a house to be anywhere from 400 to $750,000
Okay.
for that size home in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they lived in it for about a month, and then they started getting sick. The smell was overbearing, and so they moved out. They got ROC, the Arizona ROC involved, and ROC did their short investigation, but they're also very new to the SPF world. And so I've been actually part of a couple different investigations and um, inspections
Yeah.
throughout my career. And so
As an
just
expert, right?
yeah, and just my opinion, but they're
Yeah.
very lax. They're very lax. It's more of a visual inspection because they don't really understand or SPF, or even know, wouldn't know the properties or principles without any paperwork in front of their face anyway. So,
Mhm.
they look at cold foam or good foam. They might say it looks different, but they're not going to be able to tell you that that's bad foam. They don't
Yeah.
know that. So they told the homeowners it was okay, it was cleared, work it out with the installing company. But obviously, with the foam and the smell and fumes and off ratio foam in the home, they didn't feel comfortable having that company back in the home to try to even do repairs. And then every story is two-sided, so I'm only hearing my client side versus the installing side. But she said she had many conversations with them. They were struggling with guns, with gun problems and such, and only 3 months behind the gun, with no certification. So she called the supervisor of the company, asked him to come out and help. They thought they got it worked out, but clearly they didn't. So they ended up moving out, and because the ROC had told her like it visually looks okay, there's nothing we can do about it, she felt defeated.
Mhm.
So they didn't hire lawyers, they didn't do anything. That they let their home sit for like almost 2 years, and then they reached out to me, asked me if I would look at it. At first I was like, I don't want to get involved, but Spray Foam Worldwide has showed me, that there's there's bad sprayers out there. There's some bad jobs out there, but I mean, honestly, for the amount of people, I don't even know how many people are actually pulling a trigger daily. But I mean, spray foam is a big thing now. It's an everyday market thing. I mean, this is something that's common these days. And so, for the amount of jobs that are being produced, I don't feel like there's not a huge handful of bad jobs anymore out there. And why? That's because people like myself, instead of being greedy, selfish, just wanting some money, I say, hey, you know what? Let me look at this case. Let me go through your attic. Let me inspect, and let me help you. Like,
Mhm.
of course, there was lots of waivers and documents signed for this particular project that I wouldn't normally probably really push on people. But I told them, I'll help get them back in their home. They're not going to move into the home, but their integrity won't let them sell or even rent a home out that has off ratio foam in it. So they want to do it the right way. It's costing them quite a bit of money to fix it the right way too. But yeah, that's why I picked it up. I just, I watched other guys, my mentors, uh, take on jobs like this, hurricane jobs, any kind of, anything, whether it's natural disaster or another, bad company that it maybe not even business anymore. But, I just watched others be so selfish that, selfless that I wanted to also, lead by example and do that. So, yeah, we're working on it. It's open cell, so it's not in for me. It's not like impossible. I would think closed cell. I have done some closed cell removals. Those aren't fun, man. But open cell, it's so far it's gone pretty good. I did let them know that there was going to be lots of concerns with maybe cut wires, you know, plywood sheathing could be damaged, things like that. So we're gonna do, the diligent thing. They're gonna hire in a third party inspector. He's gonna go through the whole house and everything after we're done before we respray. But it's going smooth. Honestly, it's taken some time. It's gonna take us quite a bit of time actually.
Yeah.
But it's going really smooth. Everything's working out, and it definitely had to be done. I mean, the more we're digging into it, the more shit we're finding. So.
I'm curious, I think you mentioned these people are paying all out of pocket, so they weren't able to go after this contractor's insurance, or they just
So
didn't want to.
I think that they probably could have. Obviously, I think that they could have. So I did push them. I originally kind of announced this job maybe back in January. I've known it now. I've known about it for about a year and a half now. So I first quoted this job about a year and a half ago, and because of litigation that they were in with the ROC and everything, still we had to wait a little while. And also, I needed to, I needed to speak to the proper people, with documents and lawyers and things like that, just to obviously protect myself too, because
Yeah.
they're that's a obviously you're a business owner. Everybody knows when there's business, everybody just sees these dollar amounts. They think, oh man, this guy's doing so well, he's making it, but they don't realize that right around the corner, there's a risk on every single thing we say yes to. So, um,
Well,
that was in the back of my mind at the whole time when I first was starting to talk about this job. But now that I've met with them, we've walked it, we started actually working on it. I mean, I feel good about doing this now. I feel like we are doing the right thing, not only for the client, but for the industry. Um, they these people could have got on Google, they could have got on YouTube, they could have got everywhere, and they have lots of actual real evidence and pictures and videos and everything, and just wrecked SPF. But instead, all they asked was an SPF contractor to come in and do it right for them, and that's where we're at. So
and honestly, that's the only thing that anybody ever wants is just a contractor to do their job right. And
yeah,
unfortunately, there is bad apples out there that spoil it, and it's crazy to me that these people didn't live in their home for 2 years. That's really, really unfortunate. But on the flip side of things, Chris, I think that you're filling up that karma bank, if you if you want to think about it like that. You know what I mean? Like I'm a big believer of, doing the right thing, doing good things, not with the initial thought of like, well, if I do this, like something good's going to come to me, or for that only purpose. But I do believe that for sure happens is, the more good things that we do, the people that we let in, like let's say on the freeway, or let that person, you know that looks like they're angry, go down the road, and let them be angry, man. Like
yeah,
whatever the case is, like you're just like, oh, whatever, like that's not going to affect me, and just doing the right thing, because eventually good things happen to good people. And I applaud you for taking this on, because I'm guessing the situation was they probably had some other contractors look at this and they were like, hell no.
This episode is sponsored by Spray Foam Genius Marketing. Are you a spray foam contractor looking to get more leads and boost your presence on Google? We've got you covered. At Spray Foam Genius Marketing, we help business owners like you take their company to the next level with targeted leads, high converting websites, SEO optimization, Google My Business Management. If you're in the US, call us at 877-840-FOAM. Or if you're in Canada, call 844741-FOAM. Or you can just email us at info@sprayfoamgeniusmarketing.com. Spray Foam Genius Marketing, turning clicks into customers.
Yeah, they had a list of them, and they actually knew a lot of the same people I know. They called out. They had a list. They showed me who said no and everything else, and yeah, I think a lot of for owners sense, if they were calling like corporate, obviously a salesman's going to show up, and he doesn't even have the authority to say yes or no anyway, so he's just like, I'm going to blow it off and hopefully they forget about me or whatever. But I think some of the other people that I know that put eyes on this job, it was definitely a risk factor for them that made them say no. And it's an unfortunate, I've even had Dan Benedict, Energy Fox Solutions, people from Texas that, sorry, I don't know your name. I can look it up and let you know. But I've had a lot of people reach out to me like, hey, man, we want to come help you with this job. No compensation needed, any of that. I have our shop. I bought a acre and a half. I have a house out here. So, I told anybody, hey, if you do come, free room and board, I'll feed you, I'll pay you. That way you have your, paycheck still for your family for the week or whatever. So, yeah, the amount of hands that have reached out to help us has been tremendous too. I mean, it just speaks volumes for our industry and in our niche, where we're at, and where we've gone. So in the industry, it's definitely evolving and changing every day. So, but I think for the better.
Yeah,
It's always been for the better.
it's always like, I don't know how many times I've heard this be echoed from people talking about the industry and how people just, I mean, I see it all the time. You talked about the guys in the Carolinas helping out with the hurricane victims. And I mean, it's just and consistently good guys giving back to situations that are shitty. And I don't know if that comes from a place of like imagining like, God, if that was me, what would I want? But it just seems like people are always showing up to help.
Yeah. I mean, Spencer, for that particular house, I bought this land out here for our company. We were renting a small community share yard, and the landlord even cut the size on me even down more after being there for a few years, and was charging me same dollar amount. Gates were being left unlocked, and obviously Matt and I had grown this into quite a bit of a company now, and so we have a lot of equipment, and so I didn't feel comfortable. So I had started seeking a shop or land, with a shop on it for us to move all of our equipment to. At the same time that I was doing this, we ended up purchasing, and so that was my first like home purchase, because the home I live in is a family home. I still pay for it, but I didn't ever sign any mortgage paperwork or anything. So that was like the first time doing that. So I did that. Then this client called me, and I'm looking at their Lennar home, and I'm like, man, I'm not asking them, but I'm thinking in my head, they spend $700,000 on this house. They have three young kids. I looked at that family like that was my own family from the outside in, and
Yeah.
said, man, if me and Shirley were in this position right now, I would hope there was somebody out there like myself just willing to even listen to the story, let alone help, but at least listen. Because like I said, they felt at that moment, at least from what they have expressed to me, they felt at the bottom. They felt like they were defeated. No one was going to help them. The ROC didn't want to help them. They were afraid if they got into a lawyer, paid the retainer, paid all these court fees and stuff, and lost, then they're still down. They
Yeah.
never got up. And so that was their biggest fear. And so I told them, hey, let me take a look. Let's see where we can get with this. So yeah, positive results. But that was exactly like you said. I put myself in their shoes and was like, man, if this was my family, I couldn't imagine paying two mortgages right now just so I could have a, and the husband, I mean, honestly, the husband, I can see it all over him, man. I can see his mental health is not there anymore. If it was, I didn't know him prior, but I can tell that this situation has been traumatic for him at least. And it breaks my heart. I
Probably
ask.
probably aged these folks many
Oh
years.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, and it just put a sour taste in their mouth altogether about the SBF industry, and so I'm hoping by us doing this job, I have obviously high confidence in our work, and so I fear none of what they feared originally, at least on my end. I'm sure they might still have those fears, and that's okay. I want to show them that they put their trust into a licensed contractor who's been in this industry a long time, and all I want to do is give back. That's all I want to do. I want to be able to, I want to be able to give back. I give back to my children. My mom was there for my sports growing up and stuff, but my dad struggled with addiction and maybe even just being a dad.
Yeah.
And so that's like that's okay. Those things motivated me. Those things are like the things that why I want to excel and why I want to be able to give back, to show that hey, this might have happened to one person, but that doesn't even destine them. That's not like who they are. You become who you want to become. So
Exactly. Exactly. And this obviously gives you an opportunity to change generations. You
yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
there's so many pieces of this puzzle of obviously being a business owner that's going to be changing. You talked about possibly passing this on to one of your kiddos, as well as being present in their life, which it doesn't sound like your father was. And so like there's so many different positive things, bro, that you're doing
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
changing the generations. So that's amazing. This situation with this bad spray foam job, it really makes me kind of wonder, what's your thoughts on regulation? I know it's kind of controversial. I tend to have asked this question on the podcast with guests. Everybody has an opinion. I don't think there's a right or a wrong opinion. I've talked with we had um, Tyler Cochran on that was, or sorry, Trevor Cochran on that was talking about, he's up in Canada, so he's familiar with regulation.
Yeah.
Do you think the states need regulation to help prevent some of this stuff?
Yeah, obviously my first general opinion is no, stay out of it. You don't want any obviously with regulations probably going to come fees and things like that. So and taxes or whatever. But yeah, it, there's regulation in like most of the stuff we do, right? But spray foam, it's real lax. And I feel like that's why there's even possibilities for like a homeowner like mine to be in the situation they're in. With regulation, it would control and help control some of this, but also provide more education out there. I'm sure they're gonna open up more programs, things as such as they're trying to regulate. They're gonna have to find other ways to be able to regulate, and so I think it would obviously initially it's probably going to be a huge headache. I'm sure everybody's going to fucking bitch and cry about it and things like that. But can like you said, Canada's used to it already. They have regulations. I hate to say like, oh, get the government super involved and stuff, but if nobody's watching, who's watching?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so I'm not a super fan or you're just super pushing it, but I wouldn't be surprised if regulations came in, or nor would I probably be. I might be a little bothered because I'm sure some of them are going to be fucking ridiculous and things like that. But in general, I think I think overall, it to me it shows growth in the industry, right? If they are now wanting to regulate this thing and come in and add programs or procedures to this, obviously that this thing has grown into something, guys. Like we're noticed now. We need to be a regulated industry here. We are, we're dealing with chemicals. We should be regulated. We're transporting chemicals daily. We're spraying chemicals into people's houses and constantly, even on Spray Foam Worldwide, you're seeing sprayers spray with no mask and shit. There's obviously not enough education out there still to this day, unfortunately.
Yeah, and And I think what I envision, and kind of just by having conversations with guys like yourself, what it looks like to me would be a governing body that's actually like an SPFA, where you get your like certificate. You go through I know Canada has like a 3-day training. Trevor was talking about how it's really not like much, but there is some barrier of entry, because the crazy thing about it is that I can go, if I had 60 to $100,000 to go and buy a rig, and I could be spraying tomorrow and fucking up people's homes, and be in that situation where Chris is coming to fix my work. And then like it's the situation where every, your plumbers or your HVAC people, they have, they have to go through an apprenticeship, they have to be somewhat licensed, and they're not, I mean, obviously, like, water with plumbing can ruin a person's home. Electricity can kill people, just like spray foam can kill people, or make people extremely sick. And so, I'm most definitely, I feel like self-regulation is going to be the best option, is for all the SPFA, or sorry, the spray foam contractors to like raise their hand and say, yes, we need some form, and then work on it like as an internal piece with the manufacturers and the contractors. Because the second that somebody in Washington, D.C. gets involved that has no clue about
It's
what
gonna
you
be
guys
bad
do,
news. Yeah.
it's going to be a mess, because they're going to be saying, well, you need to do this, Chris. And you're like, have you ever stepped foot on a spray foam job site, dude? Like, that doesn't work. And so, not only that, but I feel like it also helps with these undercutters. You see it on a daily basis. I see people posting all the time about, these guys that are selling, spray foam jobs for about the price that I get the chemical for. I can't even compete with that. But if you guys can brand yourselves with some seal of approval of like licensing, or certificate, or whatever the case is, that becomes kind of a known thing, so that when you go bid that job, and the homeowner's like, well, why should I choose you, Chris, versus this guy? Like, look at this bid. You can say, well, look, we're certified to do this. Not only do we have 20 plus years in the business, but we have this certificate. And those homeowners start go, okay, now I need to look for this certificate if I'm looking to have spray foam done in my home. What's your
Yeah,
thought?
I feel like yeah, I would agree. That would be the form that I would more or less I would want as well as a contractor. I do know like SPFA, I'm a member of the SPFA, and I know that they push it to an extent. Obviously, we probably need it on a little bit bigger scale, like you were talking about, but still internally. But they do, they offer the PCP certifications. I've even heard just this year recently people that were in suits, in a lawsuit or whatever, but because they were PCP certified, they took them serious. They were a serious contractor that knew what they were doing, and I don't know if it was like a really, really positive outcome, but I do know that it had some weight on that case. Being PCP certified, being part of an organization, an alliance that is not just self home. I think no matter which way we go, regardless, it you're gonna run into you're always gonna run into those loopholes, no matter which. So it won't eliminate everything, but I think it would help slow it down a lot, which would be great. Me personally, and I don't want to like step on any distributors or manufacturers or anybody's toes really, because that's not my intent. But some manufacturers or distributors, I should say, are out there, breeding rigs and giving, selling them off to a guy like Spencer who doesn't have any, qualifications or experience in it, but he has money.
Yeah,
And then they give you the 8 hour, or the short term quiz to sell you that rig, and then you're off on your own. It's happened to me. One of my own contractors, I do a lot of steel buildings. I plugged in with a steel building contractor for 7 years now. Long before I owned just my own, I worked with him. I was a project manager slash profit shareholder at another company before I started this one. I worked my way into there through just staying at that company for a long time. So the old owner gave me some benefits to staying on with him for so long and helping him grow, because before me he didn't do spray. He was in the industry 25 years, but 20 years without spray foam at all. And
Wow.
5 years into spray foam, we turned his business around and he sold it for quite a bit of money. So,
Nice.
yeah, was able to get himself, he was ready to retire anyway. So it was good for him. But yeah, no, regulation would work, especially like market like mine. I'm an open cell market in Arizona, cheaper market than closed cell or, maybe the Midwest, things like that. We spray a lot of open cell out here. We're also a border state, very close to Mexico. It's very, very common for me to bid on a job, not hear back from the client, just, driving by the job, not even really checking on it, but seeing some, white truck with no stickers on it, anything like that, with 15 different flavors of foam in their trailer. They buy whoever will sell to them, and they're pump, I'm not sitting there watching them, so I don't want to say they are, but basically to me, it looks like they're pumping a little bit of Huntsman today, and tomorrow they'll be pumping UPC, whatever it takes to get the job done.
Yeah.
So
Very
that
weird stuff, I'm guessing.
I expect that stuff would still occur anyways.
Yeah.
However, it would probably slow it down. And I mean, for me, I have them all over my wall. It's probably hard to see, but not all of these are my certificates either. A lot of these are my guys' certificates. For me, it's a sense of pride, a simple sense of accomplishment
Mhm.
to go and get the certifications. So if they were to if we somebody in our industry was to start an organization like SPFA or something like that, an alliance to stand up and regulate, distributors and manufacturers and contractors all in one. I think it would do us some justice. Like you said, if it goes to Washington, I'm sure it would turn messy. We would eventually fight and get through it and figure things out, and I'm probably going to still be plugging away each day anyways. But yeah, it would be extra stress that we probably didn't need. But I do agree that we shouldn't just be freely out there, allowing people to get into this stuff without any kind of education or spraying. 20 years, 21 years, man, I'm still learning today. I'm
Yeah.
still learning.
I love that. I love that you're still learning, because I feel like us as humans, the day that you stop learning is the day that you basically might as well have died. Because I love to continue to keep learning. So I think that's a perfect spot for us to end today,
Okay.
Chris. If people, I know we have talked a lot about how you have helped people in this business because people have helped you. If people are looking to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect?
Uh, I'm on social media a lot. I promote, I don't do a lot of like SEO and things for my company. For one, I'm still very active. Uh, it's kind of self-inflicted, it's my baby, man. So it's hard for me to let go of everything, but I'm learning. That's something I'm
Yeah.
still learning to do. And so, yeah, eventually, I would like to step out of the field entirely and let these guys have at it all the time. And we're really pushing and working towards that. But yeah, social media, I'm super active on because I promote the business a lot. But also I use it for education. Like I said, I might see you post something and I'm like, hey, you know what? That topic touches me a little bit. I can relate to that. So, it's interesting because, I find myself on Spray Foam Worldwide more now, more or less these days, reading comments versus posting. Um, yeah, because dude, like I said, I mean, man, there 18,000 members in that thing. Probably, 18,000 people smarter than me and with different situations that I've have or haven't seen. And so it's just like it's like an open textbook right there for you just to, educate yourself and all that. And then these podcasts, like, I expressed to you before we got into this one, I'm newer to the podcast thing. The podcast thing, it's kind of like my wife's thing. She loves reading books, loves listening to podcasts, things like that. And for me, it was a lot newer, but these spray foam podcasts are coming out now. Yourself,
Mhm.
Dan Benedict has one as well, for safety.
Yep.
And these things relate to me. So they're intriguing and they're also beneficial because we learn, so much things. Maybe I did or didn't say anything that someone hasn't had a situation to yet, but they at least now know my story. And then from there, yeah, they could reach out to me. My phone number is Placid. I'm open for anything, man. I mean, anybody can call me, text me, Facebook me. I'm willing to sit down and talk. I'm very busy, man. So if I can't get to you that moment, I promise you my full intention will be to call you back. And if I don't, blow me up, dude. Bug me. I don't give a shit. You had to call me a couple times.
No, yeah, we had to touch base a few times,
Yeah.
but we got you on the pod, which I'm super
Yeah, it's
happy
so
we
cool,
did.
man. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is about community, and if people didn't learn anything from today's talk with Chris and I, hopefully they got to know who Chris is. They got to know who your heart is. They realize, hey, he's a valued person to this industry, and can help. That's at the end of it. It's like, I want people to tune in to be able to listen to these podcasts and go, man, I knew of Chris, but I didn't really know Chris. And I feel like I kind of know who he is now. And at the next event, if that's the SPFA or, Spray Foam Worldwide event, I'm going to go up to Chris and be like, hey, I heard a podcast that you're on, man. I feel like I know who you are. I had a connection to you. Hey, I grew up with a shitty childhood, or whatever that piece is, man. Because at the end of this community is going to be much stronger with us having these podcasts and these conversations than prior before.
Yeah, just like yourself, Spencer. I mean, honestly, you have your company as well, doing a lot of like SEO and stuff, things like that. So at first, I knew of you, but
Yeah.
obviously didn't really reach out to you because I'm not really looking into SEO and things like that. But I heard of your podcast, and Dan Benedict being local to Arizona, and me knowing him and liking him, was like, oh man, I'm going to listen to this thing. Let me see what this is all about. Come to find out, you're taking time out of your life to give free, we were doing free live seminars and
Yeah.
talks, not necessarily a podcast, but like a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, that's when I first really met you, and it was so beneficial to me. I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's just sitting here giving up his own time when he could be selfishly doing whatever he wants, but he's sitting here helping us. And you know what? He's not charging, and he's not pushing his company on me. Still to this day, Spencer and I don't do any work together, company wise. But man, every single time you have a podcast, I'm tuning in. Every single time you're posting something like, "Hey, do you do this?" I'm like, "Hey, do we do that? Maybe I do need to talk to him."
I love
So
that.
yeah. I mean, you blew me away with the free Zoom calls with all
Yeah.
of us contractors being able to get to, and I mean, it was a no brainer. Like, obviously, this guy's to better this industry and not just out here to try to suck in a bunch of spray foam contractors for some dollars.
Yeah. I mean,
You wouldn't have this podcast if that was who you were. So
obviously I want to make an impact, bro. That's
yeah, I can see that.
that's really what my goal is, to make an impact. And obviously if I can make an impact and make some money at the same time, then that's a win-win.
Yep.
Make sure you tune in here next Thursday, Thursday, April 3rd, with the Spray Foam Everything. I posted out an event today actually about, I'm bringing on a tax advisor, a guy that's going to help you guys, figure out kind of some ways to stuff some more money in your pockets than giving them to Uncle Sam. So that's going to be a great event with having, my buddy Cam on to talk to you guys about that. So that's my goal, is to just continue to keep giving back. So I appreciate you, shouting me out and
Thank you, man.
and being part of the pack and being a supporter of mine. So great to have you on, Chris. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I look forward to having you back on another time.
Yeah, cool. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
See ya.